Welcome to the channel. Today, we are diving into a concept that could completely transform how you approach your goals. It's called the 12-week year, and it's a system designed to help you get more done in the next 3 months than most people do in an entire year. Yeah, I know it sounds pretty radical, but stick with me because you're about to see just how powerful and actually how practical it really is. So let's kick things off with a question I bet every single one of us has lived through. You set that massive, ambitious goal on January 1st. You're all fired up, you're totally ready to go, and then, life happens. Before you know it, it's mid-February, and that resolution is just a distant memory. Why does this happen year after year? Well, it's not because you didn't want it badly enough. It's because the whole way we're taught to plan is, frankly, broken.
And that right there brings us to the heart of the problem, what the authors of this system call the annual planning trap. It's this traditional 12-month way of thinking that, funny enough, actually sets us up to fail by giving us this illusion that we have all the time in the world.
Think about it. When you set a goal that's a whole year away, your brain just kind of files it under not a today problem. A year feels like forever, right? So there's absolutely zero urgency to get started now. This false sense of time is the #1 killer of momentum. It's that little voice in your head whispering, I'll start next week. I've got plenty of time.
And this just nails that total disconnect, doesn't it? On the one hand, you've got the plan, where we tell ourselves time is on our side. But then you have the reality for so many of us, which is that sudden jolt of panic in October or November when we realize the finish line is right there and we've barely even left the starting blocks. This whole cycle of putting things off and then panicking, it's a direct result of that super long 12-month horizon.
I'm sure this cycle feels painfully familiar. The first quarter starts with this big burst of energy, but by Q2, that fire has kind of fizzled out and other stuff just takes over. And then comes Q3, what I call the Great Awakening. You look at the calendar, this feeling of dread starts to creep in, and you realize you are way behind. And that, of course, leads to the last-minute, totally frantic scramble in Q4 to try and salvage anything you can. It's just an exhausting and really unproductive way to live and work.
Okay, so if the annual plan is broken, what's the alternative? This is where things get really exciting. This is where we make a radical shift in perspective. Instead of seeing the year as 12 long months, we're going to completely redefine what a year even means.
And the alternative is the 12-week year. But listen, this isn't just a catchy phrase or some clever mind trick. It's a full-on execution system. The big idea is to treat every single 12-week block as its own year. You do all your planning, all your execution, and all your reviewing inside this compressed time frame. And that simple shift creates the two things that annual plans just absolutely destroy: real, genuine urgency and sharp, focused action.
Just let that sink in for a second. 12. Not 12 months, 12 weeks. This is your new year. Now, every single week is like a new month. Every single day counts. There's no "I'll get to it later," because later is next week. The end of your year is always just around the corner. This mental shift alone forces a level of focus that is just about impossible to keep up over 52 long weeks.
Okay, so the idea is powerful, for sure. But how do you actually do it? This isn't just about changing your mindset. It's a very structured system that's designed to close what the authors call the knowing-doing gap.
The real roadblock for most of us isn't a lack of information. We know we should be making those sales calls. We know we need to write the next chapter or hit the gym. The problem isn't the knowing, it's the doing. It's that huge canyon between what we know we ought to do and what we actually do day in and day out. That's the execution gap. And the 12-week year is built specifically to build a bridge right over it.
So here's the playbook. It's really just 4 key steps. First, you set just 1 to 3 really clear, measurable goals. That's it. Limiting your focus is key. Second, you break those big goals down into weekly actions, the specific things you have to do to make progress. Third, you schedule those actions right into your calendar, like they're appointments you cannot break. And fourth, and this is the secret sauce, you have to review how you did every single week with a scorecard. And this right here, the weekly scorecard, is a total game changer. Here's the critical difference. You don't track your results, like how many pounds you lost or the revenue you brought in. You track your execution. Did you do the things you said you were going to do? You give yourself a score on making the calls, writing the articles, getting to the gym. This creates instant accountability because you're measuring the only thing you can truly control, your actions. The magic number you're aiming for is to hit over 85% of your planned actions each week. Do that, and the results will take care of themselves.
Hey, if this system is already getting the gears turning for you, do us a quick favor and hit that like button. Drop a comment below and let us know what's the first big goal you tackle with a 12-week year. And of course, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next explainer, where we break down another game-changing idea.
All right, so we've got the what and the how down. Now let's get into the why. Why is this system so darn effective? Well, it all comes down to the psychology of how we perform and how real urgency creates incredible focus.
It really boils down to this super simple psychological trigger. With a 12-month plan, your sense of urgency is way down here, so your focus is scattered all over the place. There are just too many distractions, too much time. But when you shrink that timeline down to just 12 weeks, urgency skyrockets. All of a sudden, there's no time for fluff. Your focus sharpens like a laser on the few critical things that actually move you forward. And that leads us to another huge mindset shift. So often, we wait around to feel motivated before we take action. But motivation is just an emotion. It's flaky, it's unreliable, it comes and goes. You can't build elite performance on something so fleeting. Real, sustainable success is driven by disciplined execution. A logical, consistent system you stick to. The 12-week year is that system. It lets you perform at a high level even on the days you just don't feel like. Okay, so let's pull it all together. By creating these tight, real deadlines, the system forces you to act now. With the end always just a few weeks away, procrastination basically gets eliminated. That urgency then forces you to make better decisions, because you have no choice but to prioritize the tasks that give you the biggest bang for your buck. And maybe most importantly, as you do this over and over, you're not just getting projects done. You're literally building the deep, powerful habits of focus and consistent execution.
So let's bring this home and talk about what this means for you. Look, adopting this isn't just about tweaking your to-do list. It's about a massive shift in your reality. It's a true game changer for what you're capable of achieving.
I absolutely love this quote because it sums up the entire philosophy in one sentence. It's practically a formula. Shrink the time, and you automatically boost the urgency. Boost the urgency, and you can't help but watch your results just take off. It's pure cause and effect. And let's be super clear about something. The goal here is not burnout. This isn't about working 80 hours a week. It's about working with a focused, sharp intensity during your planned time blocks. By doing 4 of these 12-week cycles, with a little break in between to recharge and plan the next one, you can seriously achieve what feels like 4 years' worth of progress in just 1 calendar year. So hey, if this explainer changed the way you think about setting goals, even just a little bit, do us a huge favor and hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to see it, and make sure you're subscribed so you can join us for the next one. It really does help the channel a ton. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Forget about next January for a minute. Just imagine, what could you accomplish if your next year started today and it ended in just 12 short weeks? What's that one huge goal you could finally cross off your list? The potential is absolutely immense. Thank you for listening.